Um, Going back to the very early days, I started in the hospitality industry when I was about 14, working in a local pub back home in Kelso, which is in the Scottish borders. I actually then moved full time there, where I actually went to college, the Borders College in Hawick, then an HNC in hospitality management. And after that, I left the pub in Kelso and moved to the Balmoral in Edinburgh, which is just above the train station for those who know Edinburgh. So I worked there for about 18 months. Um, it wasn't really like leaving home because it was still fairly close. So actually one of my lecturers from the college contacted me and said that the Caledonian Club were looking for a trainee manager. So I thought I'd apply. Thankfully, I got the job. Thought I'd come down to London for a couple of years, 2, 3 years, see what London's all about, and then potentially move back to Edinburgh. I've now been here 33 years, so the the, uh, the anticipation of only a couple of years didn't quite work out. I think the draw to London is an enjoyable one, and had a lot of fun in the younger years. So I joined the Caledonian Club in 1992 as a trainee manager. I spent 3, 4 years on the trainee manager scheme, working in each of the departments. I then took on some supervisory junior management roles. So I was food and beverage manager. I was house manager. So we're looking after reception and all the different areas. And then just before Paul Varney left, I was made assistant secretary. Um, then Ian Campbell joined as secretary, and he led the club until 2017. And then 2017 he retired, so the position of secretary was made available, and I applied as you'd probably expect. 62 applications came in before the post was even advertised. So we went through a full process, and came down in the end to 2 candidates. And thankfully, I became secretary of the Caledonian Club in January 2017, and I've led the club ever since. Successfully, hopefully, people think. We obviously had the COVID period, which was for everybody an interesting period and something I don't think I'd ever want to go through again. It certainly changed the way that I managed. Sitting at home at the kitchen table rather than in the office is quite an interesting experience, to say the least. But we're now out of that. We're now moving forward. The club is in a good place. We've got the highest membership numbers we've ever actually had. There is lots of pressures out there, and I know we're going to come on to that later with food costs and the way the country is at the moment. But we're in a good place. We're in a good place, and moving forward in the right direction. I think exactly that. I think, to be honest, as a young lad back in Kelso, what was a city club? Absolutely no idea. Yes, we all know golf clubs, but the thought of a city club, and indeed even now, when you say to people who don't know what a city club is, and you say you work in a private gentleman's club, sometimes eyebrows are raised, not understanding exactly what a private gentleman's club is. So we have to sort of explain a little bit. So yeah, I mean, moving down to London, moving into the trainee managership, and I think it was when I was going through that I actually thought this could be a really good career. I mean, during my time at the club, in 2001, I believe it was, I actually spent a month in Atlanta, visiting 9, 10 clubs, which was part of a bursary that I won. And it's kind of opened my eyes to clubs around the world. And obviously now with CMAE and CMAA, we've seen many more of the clubs around the world. And it's a fantastic industry to be in. I think the opportunities that are available for for youngsters to come through, follow the pathway, get to CCM, and the hospitality industry in general. I think we put ourselves down too much. We do a lot of show rounds with school kids, just to introduce them to the hospitality industry. And one of the first questions that we always ask is, what does your friends and family think of the hospitality industry? And it's always the same answers: long hours, hard work, low pay. So all the negatives always come out, but it's never opportunities to travel the world. We always get a job. Hospitality will always be somewhere. Fantastic opportunities within the industry to develop your skills and meet interesting people. And I think the more and more we should promote that more and more, rather than always fall back on what is a traditional impression of the hospitality industry. And so, going back to the original question, which we kind of diverted away from, yes, when I came to the club and was given the opportunities and took the opportunities, I could see a career in club management would be a good career choice. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I've been at the club 32 years, so as far as the club is concerned, I mean, I think the area that we're sitting in here um, was opened 20 years ago. We knocked down an extension that was here, dug out the basement, spent 6.5 million on this part of the clubhouse. Um, I didn't build it, but while it was being built, our kitchen was on the terrace. We carried on with full service in our dining room, and we carried on with silver service for conferencing and banqueting. So that is a very interesting period. And then we had to open the site. So it was the fact that from a building site to opening, and now where we are, that this is just part of the club um, that was opened, say 20 years ago. I think it's a and it's how do I describe it? It's now just part of the club. It's no longer the extension, it's no longer 9A, and it's really future proofed, hopefully, the club for the next however long. Long after I've gone, the club will still be here without a shadow of a doubt. It's difficult, and I think it's getting more difficult. I think when I first joined, um, clubs were very much a place. I mean, this was gentlemen only. Ladies couldn't become members until, or full members until 2010. So there was a different feel to the club. Um, Very much, this is the place that if you're going out for dinner or going out for a business lunch, you'd go to your club. Um, Now there is a huge choice of restaurants compared to what there was in the 10, 20 years ago. We used to have an awful lot of people who would come across at lunchtime from the city, have their business lunch, go into the smoking room, have a cigar and a glass of port, and then go home. Doesn't happen now. But on the flip of that, in the evenings, you'd be very, very quiet. But now it's a complete turnaround. Lunch is a struggle. We don't do anywhere near the covers that we'd like to do. But dinner is so much busier. We've got a very strong younger member section, which is encouraging for the club to see that our average age is 59, which is actually fairly low for some London clubs of our age. Um, but member demands are completely different these days, and member loyalty is completely different these days. People join a club because they want to use the accommodation, they want to use the business facilities, um, and once they retire or once they move on, quite often they'll resign from the club. Whereas it used to be, even when you retired, you stayed a member of your club until you passed away, just about, or couldn't make it anymore to the club. Um, Lots of change. Dress code. Dress code's a very interesting one. We have dropped the need for ties, apart from in the dining room in the evening. Um, no disrespect, but ladies are probably the hardest one when it comes to dress code. If anybody out there could tell me the difference when a white trainer is a white shoe and a white shoe is not a trainer, I'd be delighted to hear it, because that's one of the biggest issues with dress at the moment. Tie was never a problem because you're wearing a tie or you're not wearing a tie. But people's perception of what they're wearing is, no, that's a shoe. Well, it looks like a trainer to me. So it is becoming much more, and you have to, I think you have to adapt without a shadow of a doubt, but at the same time, you still have to respect the traditions. Um, and actually, very interestingly, I would say our 70 pluses and our under 35s are much more for a much formal form of dress. And it's the ones who are at their point in their career where they're potentially just going into the office for a few days, or getting into the office and can leave whenever they want. They don't want to have to dress up in jacket and tie to have to come to the club. So that's the age group. And the youngsters are very much, I want to dress up to come to my club, which was surprised us when it happened, when we were talking about it. But I do think, though, when they get to the age of the sort of 50s to 60s, they'll be thinking the way the 50s and 60s do at the moment, and perhaps the youngsters will hopefully continue to want to keep being smart to come to their club. I mean, at the end of it, as I said before, there's lots of other places that people can go. I think clubs, tradition can be a strength. It doesn't have to be seen as a weakness. Um, and a lot of people, oh, you don't change or anything like that. Well, we do change, but we would change with what our members want. We don't change because the public are saying, oh, I'm not joining because of this. We don't want to join, don't have to join. There's plenty of other clubs, go and join another club. If it doesn't work for you, why would you join that club? Because there's nothing worse than a member who comes in, joins a club, then starts complaining about dress code or the rules, etc. When in fact all that's happened there's nothing wrong with the club. The member has just joined the wrong club. So there's certainly a place for tradition, absolutely no question at all. And I think people want that tradition, um, but we still have to provide the facilities. Um, we've got a new business centre downstairs that members can come in and use. The library next door, if it's not being used for anything, people can actually come in and use their laptops, etc. And here we still don't allow telephones to make calls or receive calls, but you can consult your telephone now. So everybody has a diary, everybody has photographs on the telephone. So we allow that, but really and truly, within the members' bar and within the members' areas, a club's all about coming in and talking to people. Talk to your fellow members. We actively encourage, if there's two people in the bar, start talking. That's what clubs are. That's what a club table's for. You know, if you go up to lunch, you'd sit next to anybody and you spark up a conversation, because what links our members is Scotland. So where did you come? Where did you get educated? And it's amazing how quickly people find that they have something in common. And again, it's the club that's brought them together, which is lovely to see. It's lovely to see. Absolutely no question. I read the Club Networker. But I mean, that is one source. I read through, you get the posts on Instagram, LinkedIn. There's often good things in there. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good things. The podcasts that are, since COVID, the podcasts have really developed, and there's some really good ones out there. I mean, I don't just listen to things about city clubs. I listen to things about golf clubs, because there's often nuggets within there that we can bring to a city club. It doesn't have to be a golf club. So I do like a podcast. It takes me 40 minutes on the train to come in, so I'll quite happily sit and listen to a podcast on the train. So there's lots of sources out there. I mean, there's CMEs, wonderful. You're not expecting to say anything else but that. But we're members of the Institute of Hospitality, who also send out some really good advice. I'm a member of the Wine Guild, which is really good about trends, what's happening within the wine world, etc. So there's lots of things that you develop your network. So there's lots of sources you can go to source things, and it's talking to people, talking to other club managers, talking to hotel managers. We've got the Peninsula that opened 18 months, 2 years ago. The MD came round for lunch, and it's really interesting. You could say we've got nothing in common. We're a private members club. They're a huge hotel group with a huge hotel. Bizarrely, when you actually start talking, they've got the same problems. They might be bigger, as in size, but hospitality does bring the same challenges, whatever your size and whether you're a private club, whether you're a hotel, whether you're a golf club, and we've all got similar issues, and it's good to share. It's good to share. Um, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, there was the redevelopment that was over an 18-month period. I think that really cemented to me the need for team. At that time, it was we were facing different challenges every single day. As I mentioned before, a porta cabin, there's a kitchen out in the terrace, and then there was heavy rain, and there's rain coming to the kitchen, and the pot wash was there. I mean, everybody had to pull together. There was during that time there was no way that anybody could work in a silo, because you're basically on top of each other 24, not quite 24/7, but during all the operation hours, you were working as a close team. And I think the fact that the team had to work together to get over that period. And then, as I say, when we came out of it and we had the new extension, it made it all feel worthwhile. Um, and again, I touched on COVID earlier. I think that was a challenging period for everybody. I'd prefer to look forward than look back at COVID, but it was hard. You got you had to be so many different things that you'd never been trained to be. You had to be a counsellor. I had people phoning up and saying, "When are we going back to work?" Or "I'm stuck in my flat here. I want to go back to Portugal. I don't know what to do. I've not spoken to anybody for days." So it was quite difficult, because it's not something you ever trained for, and all you have to do is offer as much support as you possibly could, within the guidelines, whatever the guidelines actually were. So it gave you a different string to your bow, and I think coming back from that and now, I'm probably more, I wouldn't say considerate, because I think I always considerate to people's needs and what have you, but mental health is a huge thing. And I think it gives you a little bit more appreciation of how people can really change or feel because of the circumstances they're actually in. And it was always the old adage, leave everything at home and come to work and smile. I'm I'm not so sure that's so easy for everybody these days. And I think as employers, you have to be aware of what's going on and try and find out what's going on in people's lives, take an interest in what's going on in people's lives. So from that's changed. That's changed me in the way that I manage and I look after, hopefully look after people. My biggest challenge at the moment, I mean, there's the ones that everybody's got, as in prices, as in your GPs, as in the food costs, as in staffing costs. Staffing's not so bad, because I think if you invest in your staff, you've got very, very low turnover staff here. A lot of them are going through the management development program. I think we've got 6 or 7 signed up to CME as members of CME England, and so I think staffing, I wouldn't say is an issue. I think staff Everybody always says a club's easy to run. If you had no staff and no members, it'd be wonderful. But it's not the reality. Um, those sort of challenges are, I think everybody's got those. I think for if I was just looking at the club, and I don't think we're alone with this, I think there's a real thirst for data. Um, I think you get new board members and they really want to dig into the data. I mean, we've got the Jonas system, which gives us quite a lot of data, but it's it's a different challenge. Was it a difficult challenge? It can be. It can be frustrating because sometimes you'll give people data and they'll say, "Oh, thank you very much," and they do nothing with it. There's nothing more frustrating for me than spending time to produce data and they're not making decisions with the data, or why did you produce it if they're not going to use it. Maybe just a bugbear of mine, but I think everybody would probably feel the same. And I can understand that thirst for data. I can understand how they want to look at the business through data, but I think sometimes they forget what we are. We're a private members club. We're here for the members. And yes, you can have data and it will give you an idea of who's using the club, etc. But you have to be considerate to all 1,500 members. And sometimes the data won't tell you what a certain percentage want. It's a people industry, and sometimes the best way of collecting data is actually speaking to people, and actually getting feedback, rather than just looking at what has been produced by computer data. It's important. I would never say it wasn't, but I don't think in clubland it's the most important thing. I think people, relationships are by far more important. You don't start a conversation in the bar to talk to a member who's been a member for 30 years about the average room rate in the bedrooms. You talk about their family that you talk about, what have they been doing? Have you been in hospital? You have that conversation, not necessarily, as I say, and that's not data driven. Um, if you're looking to enter, take that as two different things. If you look to enter club management as a career, um, pick the right club. If there's an opportunity to for employment, um, work hard, be prepared to work hard, um, educate yourself. Don't wait for people to say, "I'm going to send you on this course." Always be on the front foot, and if you know that CME England are doing a course on such a thing, put yourself forward. Um, don't hold back and expect others to always hold your hand. Um, I think I've like nothing more than when a member of staff comes to me. Somebody did it the other day. Who said, I don't want to be a receptionist for the rest of my life, but this is what I'd like to do, and this is the plan that I would like to do. Fantastic. That person's now going to be a trainee manager here at the club, so he'll do what I did 30 years ago, and hopefully his career will flourish because of that, because he was in the front foot. He was asking. I'm not saying you're always going to get, but if you don't ask, at least you won't get. But if you do ask, I think you'd find that the people above you actually can see that. What's the word I'm looking for? Ambition within yourself. So when other opportunities come up, they can see, they know who the ambitious person is. And the other thing that I would definitely encourage people to do is build your network. Get to know people. Um, there's this, go visit other clubs when you get the opportunity to do so. Go to networking evenings, CME, anything. Don't stick within London. If you're in the London clubs, don't think that your network is only London clubs. Your network's throughout the world. And if you work in somewhere like the Caledonian Club, and you get the opportunity to go to the States, some of the reciprocal clubs, etc., take that opportunity. People know the Caledonian Club. And that's one of the other things that I passionately believe in is actually people knowing the club. So I love hosting dinners and what have you, because remember, it's the Caledonian club, so they've been to the Caledonian, they've experienced the Caledonian club, and it's about marketing within your own network. But as I say, build your network, and don't be scared to ask.